Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there is having themselves a great day. Manifesting is not control. This is something, I was doing some research for something totally different, and like I said yesterday, it sparked a whole bunch of shows, and I thought it was very cool. But this was like a top 10 list of some person, and one of them was manifest is not control. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. I wanted to look at that. And upon digging a little, found that this is, in fact, something that I feel has been discussed, one, by me a bunch. Two, I've even talked with Anyas about this. Three, there's definitely a lot of disagreement amongst many. And so what the heck? Let's talk about it. Let's have fun. So one of the things that's really fun, and I think a lot of people, we're going to start with the whole us pushed out. This is me pushed out. This is you pushed out, right? That whole concept. Talked a bunch about this with Anyas. Pretty much in agreement there. Goddard's a little bit, he admits it. I agree with him. I think you have to take it in context. I think a lot of people take this out of context. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's most by any means. I don't know how many. I hear it a lot, so it's vocal people. But there's this thought process that the us pushed out means that they are actually us. Physically, like us, like another dimensional version of ourselves. I'm not sure, or like are thinking into another person, or like they're not actually real. They're a figment of my imagination, and I just walk around like in the Matrix, and people aren't really people. They're just imaginations of me. There is definitely walks of life that believe that. I've had really cool, interesting relationships with a number of fascinating souls. Some could say that's me getting in touch with other aspects of myself, maybe other lives of myself. I don't know. I think we do lives with each other for a reason. To me, that makes more sense, coming here into this playground and actually playing with others. Going to a playground and playing all by yourself, even though you're pretending you've got friends with you, to me, I don't know, is different. Again, so where I'm coming at it from is I do not believe that people are you, but I actually believe people are people. Now, to quickly cover, us pushed out generally is projecting, as they say, a lot of the times. It's us, we think someone's doing something nefarious. Well, that's sometimes us pushed out, unless you've got facts, but sometimes that's because maybe I'm doing something nefarious, and so I tend to see other nefarious people around me, or I tend to project those potential nefarious thoughts onto other people, like they're out to get me, or they're trying to hurt me, or right, just for examples. So us pushed out frequently has more to do with that concept, that what we're reading from others and reading on others isn't them, and it isn't necessarily what they are doing. It's a projection of ourselves, our fears, our insecurities, our whatever, onto them. And then we look at them and we're like, oh, they're cheating on me. Oh, they probably are dating someone else because they don't like me. Or, oh my God, they probably are talking to other people because they don't even know I exist. I don't know, right? Any number of things that we make up in our minds. We don't have facts. We haven't actually asked them these questions, have we? No. We've seen a picture maybe on Instagram. We've seen something here, seen a little tidbit of something over there. And then we've taken these three pretty much innocuous pieces of data that actually don't mean a whole heck of a lot with themselves or alone, that doesn't mean anything. And then we decide, based off of these few pieces of tiny factoids, we figure out something larger, and we're usually wrong. And that's the projection. That's the us pushed out component of that. Now, if it really were the case, so if you're living in a belief, this might work for you, right? Because it's all belief driven, right? So if your belief is that others are you pushed out, physically, literally, well then theoretically, one, there should be absolutely no problem getting somebody to like you. It's not their free will. If it's you pushed out, you just need to like yourself more. And once you like yourself more, you're going to attract that other individual version of yourself. Or if it literally is just you, well, then everybody's you, and you could date another you. You could just choose another you that actually wants to spend time with you. And then, it makes it easier in that direction as well, right? Because I think the fact that people have free will, and I think the fact that we're trying to get two souls, two life paths, two life forces to come together and be in unity and harmony and happiness together, I think is a beautiful thing. I think relationships are awesome. I mean, I enjoy the time I've got with my sweetheart. Like, it's amazing. It's great. Life is Wonderful. So from the standpoint of if they literally are you, there really should be no limitations at all, right? And it's probably just an issue of how much you particularly love yourself. If it's just, I don't love myself, maybe there's something wrong with me, right? And so because of that, I'm not able to attract this version of myself. So there's that component. We can try it from that direction. Again, I don't think everybody's actually literally us, but if you do, I think this still holds true, by the way, and I think that would be your adjustment would help get you to that place. Now, I wonder sometimes, of course, again, if this is that whole us pushed out thing, we attract where we're at right now. Okay, now you might be interested in Joanne down the street. Maybe Joanne's your specific person, and you and maybe Joanne right now aren't talking a whole lot. But oddly, Judy has been chatting you up a bunch. Judy's not quite what you're interested in. Maybe Judy's a little older. Maybe she's a little younger. Maybe she looks a little different than you want. Maybe she's technically or culturally different in some way that's weird. Maybe she's not sense of humor enough. Maybe she's too serious for you, right? Who knows? But she's attracted to you right now. We attract to us where we are at ourselves. Now, a lot of people are kind of in situations where maybe they're just needy people in general. Maybe they just got out of a relationship a little bit ago. Maybe that puts some issues, like maybe they got cheated on, right? And so then you kind of get into another relationship, and then that one kind of goes weird, and you're with somebody that's sort of energetically taking advantage of you, maybe, or maybe there's just you always don't feel like you're good enough. They never really give you that sort of gratification, that pat on the back, like, hey, good job, sweetie, thank you, I love you, you're awesome the way you are. And so a lot of those fears oftentimes can come from previous relationships, previous experiences. And what will happen is we'll attract that type of person. We'll attract somebody that will fulfill this current lack I see in myself, this insecurity I have in myself, even though it was quote unquote caused by another person. Our choices to internalize things, our choices to believe them, our choices to take what someone else said about us and literally hold it as truth. Even if it's someone that's a parent, a family member, boyfriend, girlfriend, pastor, priest, whatever. Even if someone like that tells you something that is demeaning to your self-esteem or demeaning to you or violence, gosh forbid, and we internalize that and take it, that's our choice. No one's words can forcibly change you. They can't. The whole standpoint or the concept of sticks and stones can break my bones, but names shall never hurt me. In the reality, you could take any name that someone could call you, and you could have someone call you that you actually care about and respect, and they call you that name, and that hurts, it stings, or whatever, right? Maybe internalize that. Maybe you're like, maybe it's true. And, I think it's always good to take criticism, not meanness, but criticism. Sure, you should listen to it, because sometimes your friends are going to offer you up some helpful advice. But we'll take criticism. We'll just take it from the angry spot, because that's usually what creates odd issues within us that start to cause us to attract people that we're really not looking for on a long-term basis, or we're looking to control. I'm getting there, I promise. So looking at what we're attracting and understanding why is key. So a lot of us are coming from situations where things maybe are a little blurry, maybe a little, we've had a lot of work to do on ourselves, and maybe at that point in our life where we were, this individual we attracted fit the bill very well. And then maybe over a period of time, we maybe evolved and grew, or maybe even when you first met this person, maybe you haven't had a chance to date them, but maybe when you first met them a year ago, you were a very different person. You were starting the spiritual path maybe, or maybe you were just starting to get into law of attraction to try to attract them. And in the process of studying law of attraction, you've done a lot of self-work. And through doing that, have actually altered your energy. You've altered what vibration you're attracting at. And so what can happen a lot of times is as we do this self-work, we start to find some things that are confusing to us. One, I'm very interested in Billy over here. I don't know, making up new names. interested in Billy. I have been for a while. But oddly, John, this guy at the little store I go to for coffee next door to my work, right? I'm making up stuff, right? But John was a really interesting guy, and he's been flirting with me. And so maybe there's something, because like I'm perplexed, right? I got John over here who actually seems wonderful. Seems like a wonderful guy. But I feel guilty because I've got Billy over here who in my mind I should love, and he still doesn't seem like he's coming out of the woodwork for me. Maybe he still seems like he's a little distant. Maybe he still seems like he doesn't know me. But oddly over here, John, really nice guy, flirting on me, asking for my phone number, whatever. Asking me if I have a boyfriend, whatever. He's asking me questions and wondering what's up with me. And what a lot of us do is we're still trying to manifest the lumps and bumps out of Billy. Instead of realizing that maybe we're now attracting something that's more akin to what we're vibrating at, or better, at least for where you're at right now. And so now you got this guy, John, who's coming into play, who's interesting. What do you do? And I get it. A lot of people want to use law of attraction to change somebody because we've already become attracted. I'm not saying you can't. What I am saying is I think they have free will. Some people aren't necessarily willing to be on the same paths as we are. And sometimes by us growing, we can find that they can be in our dust trail behind us. I've even found situations where even just going on a date once with John actually caused Billy to pay a different attention to you. Or even by spending time with John, just once even. And I'm not saying you should date him. I'm not saying you should stay with Billy. I am saying there's some very interesting characteristics that start to develop. And so maybe by hanging out with John one time, you actually realize some things about what really makes you tick inside, what you really like as a person. And you start to realize, oh, that's not Billy. Billy's a very different person. Where I was when I first attracted Billy, Billy was a good fit for where I was. Now, he wasn't the healthiest choice, but then again, neither was I. I was in a place where I was still working on stuff and still trying to figure it out. So it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that Billy and I attracted each other, or I attracted him, whatever. If it's a breakup, fill in how it works for your case. But for whatever reason, maybe right now it's a little different. And maybe right now you do have a John coming into play. Heck, maybe there's a few of them. What I find challenging is we manifest what we're attracting to. Like, we're attracting to us where we are at energetically. I'm going to do a show on letting go tomorrow, and it is going to tie into this. I'm going to overlap a little, and that's why all this stuff kind of ties together oddly. But the idea of we've attracted something to us already, and I've frequently talked about if you don't like what you've attracted, cool, go back to the drawing board, add some more detail and clarity to it, and fix your manifestation. It's no big deal. It's simple enough. People can be a little more challenging than that, but they certainly can change. But you can also find that they have a choice in the matter. You can say they're us pushed out, then if that's the case, it really should be a simple solution. Just fix yourself. That's fine. That's fine. That'll make all your woes go away. I guess for those of us that maybe think there's more to this other soul component to life, sometimes people serve as signposts, as marking posts, as lights, and they help us kind of steer our ship in certain directions. I've seen this happen with myself a bunch. I've seen this happen with other people I know. I've seen this happen a lot. Where love is one of the more powerful forces that tend to bend and shift and mold our lives. Sometimes by meeting one person, it can shape so many things about you that you're no longer ever the same person again. And maybe they disappear from your life, only to leave that wonderful present and gift with you. And yes, maybe there's some heartbreak, maybe there's some hurt. Sure, I'm speaking from experience. I can think of someone in particular in Tennessee. My God, my whole experience in Tennessee was both life-changing and the darkest time of my life. It was amazing. And would I take that away? No. Did it break my heart? Oh, beyond words. Beyond words. Did I want to remanifest her? Yes. Did I even try to get back together with her when she came back and visited a year later, and I was living with her family? So she came back to visit her family, and lucky her, got to see me again, even though I won't leave. I even tried to get her back then. And still, to this day, I look at that and I'm just like, oh, man. Dan. It's okay. I get it. I understand it. I've done it too. And what I learned was that she was in a better place and a happier place and moving on in the direction that I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go. Should I try to manifest and change her life path to fit mine because of what I want? Or do I appreciate the fact that another soul has their own life path and maybe I don't fit in it? And I'll tell you what, the things that I gained from having this relationship breakup was beyond words. I mean, my life has changed in ways. I was not going in the direction where I'm at now. Things are very, very different now because of what I've been through. And on top of all that, by the way, she played the single largest role in my spiritual life. I mean, that's where my teacher came into play. Her mom was extremely gifted. She was amazingly gifted. I got in touch with a lot of my gifts hanging out with these wonderful people. So again, angels and I got to live together for a while, and it was very painful to part. But my life has been wonderful since. And she's in a great place with a family. She's got her child. I didn't want to go down that path. So she's got what she wants. And so do I. And where I'm at right now and what I've accomplished for myself right now. Life works out beautifully. That's the only thing I've been able to know for sure, is that whenever a problem faces me, I realize the solution is already there. Otherwise, the problem wouldn't exist. And I'll tell you what, it's been 100% right so far. There's not problems that I haven't been able to figure out a way around, through, over, under, whatever. Or just not think of it as a problem anymore and actually literally they just disappear. That's always fun when you can pull that one off. Like, oh, I don't even care about that. That's not a big deal. Who cares? And it's like, brutally, a crumble. No problem. So are we trying to use law of attraction to control life, to control people, to control situations? Or are we trying to attract similar energies to us? It's really what it is. Law of attraction's seeing these things in your mind. You're not going out and grabbing them and pulling them to you. You're attracting each other to that energy, to that place where you're together. We shouldn't have to control somebody. We shouldn't have to alter their life so they can fit into ours. Because at that point, you really do need to look at what is self-love and what are you asking of another individual. If they're happy to join you, it'll be much like, I think, and some can say, Goddard manifested his second wife, right? And they manifested a divorce. But the one thing they don't talk a lot about, and it's also true, is she was also interested in Neville. It wasn't like she was just some random woman that Neville's like, the audience, all right, everybody in the audience, I picked one of you, and you will become my wife, and we will see, and I won't tell you who you are, but, 1 month from now, you and I will be getting married. It wasn't like that. It was like there was a lady that was maybe in a bad marriage, and she didn't want to be married either, and and Neville got together. And they manifested a way out of their current relationships and into each other's arms. And it's a beautiful story. But it's not like he just picked some random stranger that had no idea there was a little bit of something there. So sometimes you can also have a little more to the story than I think sometimes people look at. They compare their situation to these stories, but I don't think we always have the full picture. Not always. You can look into it and maybe in a lot of cases get that full picture. But staying open to the fact that we attract. So even if this person that you're trying to change, stop trying to change them and change you. Change your attractive force, and they will start to become attracted to you. And if you literally believe everyone is literally you, then even change yourself more, because that's all you're waiting for, is for that version of yourself to be attracted to you, since you're changing and it's you. And if you change you, that's changing them, and the whole thing's happening all at once. So the change still resides in you. That individual is not changing, and trying to focus on manifesting them to change when all they are is a reflection of you is silly. You need to change the thing that's emitting the reflection, which is us. You don't get mad at the mirror because you've got a scratch on your face. The scratch is on your face. The mirror is just showing it. Don't get mad at the mirror. Don't change the mirror. Don't be like, I'm painting it all white. No need. You got a scratch, put some stuff on it, it'll go away. You won't even see it anymore. It's awesome. It's a reflection of where we're at, what we're doing. If you want to change what you're attracting, you've got to change what's going on inside of you, rather than trying to control the external things outside of you. And a lot of us try to do that. A lot of us try to use law of attraction to fix all these outside things. That's not how it works. As within, so without, even though people have been taking that one and running with it. What's going on inside of you is what's projected out and then reflected back to you. And the reflection is what we see. Kind of makes me think, and this will be the last little point, but it's kind of like how color works, right? You look at a tree that's got green leaves. Well, the leaves are green not because they absorb green. They're green because that's the color they're reflecting, which means they absorb the other colors, the other spectrums. But oddly, the nanometer wavelength that green is, and specifically the frequency for that particular color, is oddly what is reflected. Much like when you look at a mirror, it reflects all visible light. That's why you can see yourself very clearly. That's why it works so well. Plants have sort of a different thing. Their mirror only reflects certain wavelengths, and that is the color you end up seeing. It's not that there are no other colors. All those colors are there. It's just that's the one that's being reflected, so that's the one you see. Same thing's going on out there. What bounces back is the thing that we're pushing out there. You want to see that reflection change, stop sending the thing that's bouncing back on you, and you'll notice it bounces back differently when you change what you're sending. So again, don't control out there, control in here, and those outside things will fix themselves. And just because I think it's always a good thing to kind of keep in mind, where you're at right now and where you were when maybe this process started could be two very radically different places. And differences of large magnitude in our changes, and I've done this too, I've outgrown people as well. When you change quickly, it's sometimes harder for others to catch up. And some people aren't necessarily motivated to change at that pace. There's a lot of factors that come into play. One of the key things you'll start to notice is I'm trying to control the physical world, when in reality, we're just trying to attract experiences to us. We're just trying to attract people to us. We're just trying to attract energies to us. We're not trying to change, manipulate, metamorphosize. No. Trying to attract it towards us. All this stuff's around us. It's just, what is it that we're pulling towards us? It's what we're vibrating at. It makes a big difference, and it really helps. Again, I'm going to talk about letting go, and this does kind of go into that a little bit, because there's a few things that go into letting go that we don't normally talk about. There's the side of it from manifesting. I'm going to cover it, but there's another angle, and I'm kind of looking forward to getting into that. Again, saw some great stuff just trying to research one thing, ended up pulling 4 shows out of it. It's going to be awesome. So looking forward to talking about that tomorrow. It's going to be letting go and a cool little different take than anything I've talked about thus far. Hopefully this makes a difference, though. Manifest is not control. It's not meant to do that. It's an attractive force. It's not a controlling force. And how we're viewing that and what we're attempting to do with it may be part of our downfall. Maybe not. Maybe that's part of your success. Ooh, how do we want to look at it? It's Dan Radio Style.